So I'm really digging the new ET65.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, I've had to kind of adjust everything as I've been going. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've got some plans for my small board I'm gonna work on. I want to change a few things up, but I updated the firmware in the MD200.
Yeah.
Hooked it up to the computer. Just to be clear, I hate having to hook pedals up to computers.
I haven't hooked my HX1. I probably should do that.
Yeah, and update the firmware. It gave me more presets and done some different things I can add. I can have like 128 or 123 presets or whatever it is, which I'm not going to add any more presets.
Yeah, but did it do anything different that was cool?
It did do some stuff that was cool, but I don't remember what it is right now. And supposedly some of the sounds are supposed to be a little bit better and blah, blah, blah. I done that, and I put the pedal away for like 2 days and was like, oh, I got this gig, I better get ready. And I had to throw it on my board, and I was like, oh.
Your presets aren't on there?
Is that going to delete my presets?
Yeah.
Did not delete my presets.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
During sound check, I was like, let's check these presets.
Awkward.
Well, I was like, I could dial them in pretty quick, because I really only need like 3 to get through a gig, so I could have made it.
Right.
And honestly, I didn't have to have them, but it would have been a bummer.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
I checked them, and I was like, oh, presets are still there. I think I'm good.
That's cool.
But yeah, I don't like hooking pedals up to computers.
Yeah, I gotta do that with my HX1. I've kind of waited.
Yeah, might as well just do it. Especially before you get too far down the rabbit hole of presets, because what if it does delete your presets?
I was about to say, because I've got like, I think 12 set right now, so
yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
12 presets. It's a lot.
HX1 has like 120 or something. Yeah. 126, I think. Why is it 126?
Oh, I don't know.
Why would they say that?
I don't know.
Why not make it 125? That bugs me.
I'm not sure. But it is.
It's kind of like on the TV channel, how you can't leave it on like 9. Yeah. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah. You got to move it to 10.
10 or 8.
Or 12. It's got to be even numbers.
Well, 7's okay.
7's okay?
7's okay. It doesn't bother me. Lucky number 7. Lucky number 13.
I don't like 7. I don't like 13.
13 doesn't bother me. Weird.
Yeah.
But 17, not a chance.
Okay, well, let's get started on this episode.
Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, guys, which has to do with the new Revv Joey Landreth amp.
Yeah.
This thing looks pretty cool. So, first of all, there's a bunch of options on it. Okay, there's a creamback speaker in it. You can choose if you want the boost pre or post. You can choose if you want that gain boost. I think it's got a reactive load in it. XLR out. I mean, attenuation to it. It's got a lot.
Yeah, 25 watts to 5 watts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like Joey Landreth's playing and love to listen to him play. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I hear that he had a signature amp come out, my immediate thoughts was like, well, I mean, we know he's got the 2-rock amp too.
Right.
But something other than the 2-rock amp, I was like, it always piques my interest.
Yeah.
So not that I can play anything like Joey Landreth. Mm-mm. And most of my style is nothing like Joey Landreth.
No, but it's inspirational when you hear him play.
It is. I don't think I've ever played one of these Revv amps in person.
I haven't played the D20 either.
Because we're here in the States, and Revv amps aren't as popular as what they are in Canada and stuff. I know they're made out of Canada, so another good reason why Joey Landreth is probably, working with them, those boys up in Canada. So I think they're just not as found here. It's kind of like the Victory amps. Like they're cool. I'd be interested in trying some of them, but they're harder to find here.
You definitely see more Revs here than you do Victory.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like D20s on the used market.
Yeah.
I haven't had the chance to play a D20 to compare that to this Joey Landreth. And this is a D25, so it's got just a little bit more horsepower. I don't know. I've listened to an AB demo of it, but we know how demos are. Demos suck. I don't know if it would be like a big enough difference for me to jump on the like Joey Landreth version. A D20 for me would probably serve me just enough purpose. But I do like the features on the Joey Landreth just because there's more options. I think the combo is around $1,900. So, I mean, it's a cool amp. Is it for me? Probably not. But I think it's a great like grab and go like complete tool. Like if you need an amp to grab and go for any situation, this is probably it.
Yeah, for me, I don't know that I would be jumping on the bandwagon of grabbing this one in particular. For me and what I do, I think the standard D20, the head, would probably be a little more ideal because it's got the reactive load in it and everything. You can take it to front of house if you want to. You can run it in a cabin, do all that stuff.
Well, that's another thing is like, this is all built in one though.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have to use,
Nope.
the D20. You have to go into the mains or something. Whereas this could be an all-in-one type of thing. So, this is like the modern day Blues Junior. It can do anything.
It's much different than a
modern day Blues Junior. It can do anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If he says so.
All right, we're gonna move to our main topic, guys. And this is one that I thought would be important to talk about. We don't talk about acoustic as much as we should.
We should add much more acoustic stuff.
Yeah, we need to talk a lot more about acoustics, and especially how to find a good sound live, which, joke's on us, it's really not possible.
It's hard. It's very hard.
That's what she said.
Finding an acoustic sound live is just near impossible just because it's never going to sound like that true acoustic. So, I don't know. I have an idea of like 3 tiers I could think about for a live player with an acoustic sound. So you kind of tell me your thoughts.
Okay.
I've thought about this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if you're going more economical route,
Okay.
to me, it's hard to go wrong with just get your acoustic guitar. Hopefully it has an electric plug-in. If not, you can get a sound hole pickup. I think I've got a Seymour Duncan. Fishman makes great stuff. But just buy one of those Fishman stage preamp little doodads.
Yeah. Well, I'll show it here.
Okay. It's got a little boost function on there. It's got an XLR out. And I can really attribute that tip to my brother. So.
You're welcome for that.
All right. Point 1 in your book. But to me, that's the most like, if you're trying to get a great acoustic sound, with not a lot of money put into it, that's probably a great way to go.
Because you can find those for in the ballpark of like $100.
Used.
Maybe even, 85 if you're really looking good.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty reasonable and they do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, they get the job done. And it gives you a lot more tone shaping than just a knob on your guitar or whatever.
Yep.
And sometimes all you got's a roll tone. So it does give you a lot more options. And it's cool to have a boost function, especially if you are like you're just kind of thrown into an acoustic kind of show and you don't know if you're going to have enough sound, and then you got a boost function. So it's pretty cool. And it's got a pre and post EQ, which is nice. So anyways, that's the most economical. To me, the next step is probably going with the Fishman or a Spectrum. So it's a pedal. It's got a tuner on it. It's, I think right now brand new, it's like close to $450. It's like $439 or something. Okay. And that is the one where it blends in some sounds that they had some imaging for. They put these imaging sounds in there and you can blend in with that compression. It's got EQ on it. The reason why I say that's important is you're not going to have a good acoustic sound live, really.
Yeah.
Like, to get the sound of that guitar, I mean, I've kind of like just accepted the fact it's not possible.
Okay.
So that gives you the most real-like sound, and it's got that imagery in it. It's almost like modeling, let's be honest. And you turn up that blend knob, and you get more of that acoustic sound.
You know what I've heard?
What?
I've heard there's a problem with that.
Talk to me.
So the problem I've heard is if you're running those parallel and you're running those about even. So let's say you've got an under the saddle pickup and you're running that into that Spectrum that you've got, or any of these that have, I think the Fishman is one that I've heard that's got the biggest problem with it. But if you're running them in parallel together and you've got the sound pretty equal. So you've got your full, like, you know, under the saddle pickup going, plus you've got the modeled or whatever we want to call it, acoustic sound also. Well, this one is digital. This version is analog that's running through. From what I understand, there's a possibility of having weird latency in the digital side versus the analog side.
I have not heard that whatsoever.
But if they're both running through there and they're both going through a digital processor, and it's doesn't have an analog drive-through path, then there's not a problem. However, there's plenty of people that have made versions of this, like not just Fishman, but other people that's done a similar thing that I've not heard that problem with. And I've heard people love the Fishman thing too, but I would just say keep an eye out for that. If you get some weird latency in doing that, maybe that's the issue. Maybe you need to like turn it more one way or the other. Yeah, change the blend.
I haven't heard these problems at all, I'll be honest. So I think you're reading too much into the gear page.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
The thing I love about the Fishman thing is it's got that like anti-feedback switch. So like something's humming, you click that or hold that and it'll take care of it.
Yeah.
That is super nice.
Very.
I mean,
especially if you don't want like a sound hole plugged up and all that stuff. It's a pain in the butt. If you're using monitors, you know, and you're getting that sound right back at you, it's gonna feed back eventually.
To me, that is the best mid-tier. And I'm talking about like for a normal musician, right? I'm not talking about for like people who play stadiums or anything. And then to me, probably the most ideal scenario, get an AER amp.
Yeah.
Those AER, was it like 64 or 63?
Yeah, the compact.
The compacts.
Yeah.
They got an XLR out. And if Tommy Emmanuel swears by them, I mean, talk about an acoustic sound.
Yeah, great sound.
So to me, that is like, if you could choose any sound, like for our type of music and local gigs with an acoustic, it's that.
Yeah.
Is it always practical? Not really. And it's also more expensive, let's be honest. But to me, those AER amps, I mean, they blow everything out of the water. They'll make your acoustic sound great and more natural. They're great amps. So those are my, like, if you want a good acoustic sound live for a local musician, to me, I feel like those three hit kind of the ballpark. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so my first thing is, let's start at the source. So if your guitar is set up well and everything's playing well, you're going to be plugged in for live use. The first thing I think about is what pickup's in there, how are you going to use it, and what's it look like. So if you've got an acoustic guitar that's already got a pickup built in it with a preamp, it means you've got enough signal it's pushing out. You're not going to have to worry about like long cable runs. You're not going to have to worry about a bunch of different things. Some acoustics now even have an XLR out. I've seen some like preamps and stuff made that way with acoustics. That helps a lot because that kind of takes that need for that direct box away a little bit. If you've got, so the transducer that goes underneath the saddle, the piezo,
I don't know.
There's like 47 ways to say it and no one knows the right answer. No one knows. So if somebody could call us or let us know the right way to say that, that would be awesome. So that's a great option. You know, it's kind of been the industry standard to sound like that now as an acoustic guitar. Like it's got that under the saddle sound. You go and see a live stadium gig and guess what the acoustic sounds like? It still sounds like an under the saddle pickup.
Yeah.
But we do have a few more options now. There is the little transducers that work by vibration that go on like the bridge plate underneath, like the K&K Pure Minis. They're very popular. Who is it? Is it LR Bags or Fishman that just put out a new one that goes underneath there? I believe it's LR Bags. And it's a similar thing. It goes and they basically glue to the bridge plate inside your acoustic guitar. But those things don't have preamps. So when you come out of something like that that doesn't have a preamp,
you won't have much.
You're not going to have a lot of signal.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to go into some type of preamp pedal, some type of DI box that's got a preamp built in it.
Like that Fishman Stage I was talking about.
Fishman Stage would be great. A lot of the real high-end guys are using those Grace DIs. Really popular. I know Jed Hughes has been using that Grace for a while. I believe that Billy Strings is using one of those Grace preamps for his acoustic sound. So those are very popular right now, but that's high-end. That's the price of like an AER amp.
Yeah.
So if you're going just direct and don't need any stage sound, but are interested in a higher-end kind of version of it, that would be a great way to go too. The cool thing about the AER amps is you could kick that thing back to the side and get some monitoring that way, and then go direct into the PA.
It's so nice.
It's going to sound fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else I've done before in the past too, is I didn't have a preamp at the time because I didn't realize what I was really needing. And I took a good old G7 and I ran my acoustic guitar into the G7 and bumped up the level slightly. And those Fishman preamps, they've got like a mid-frequency control that you can kind of tweak where the mid-frequency is either being boosted or cut. Some of that is for the anti-feedback thing, and some of it's, there's something about a weird...
There's like a low-mid thing.
There's like a low-mid thing. I think it might be in the ballpark of 400 hertz, if I'm remembering correctly. It's somewhere in the ballpark that I usually end up cutting. And I just cut that frequency slightly on my GE7 because it does have a 400 hertz slider. I cut it slightly and boosted it. And then I went out of there into a DI, just a standard DI, nothing powered or anything, and then went into mains. Honestly, it sounded great. So as in like a budget option, you could get you a little DI, maybe a little tuner so you got a buffer on top, a good buffer like a Polytune 3 or something. Throw that on here with this G7. You can kind of tweak some of your EQ settings and go into the mains through that DI. That's a great kind of inexpensive option that kind of gets you a pedal board, and you can kind of play with reverbs or choruses if you're into chorus for your acoustic.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good option too. I think the main points you hit on, you hit kind of the three main types, but definitely make sure that you've got a preamp on board your guitar or on like a pedal version like you're talking about. You need something, especially if you're doing long cable runs. And then you need some type of direct box, or if your preamp has an XLR out, something along those lines. You need some version of that. And then of course, like you said, you can go the Fishman Aura. You can go into, the Grace that we talked about, or like you said, that AER amp.
To me, that just makes the most sense. Like, obviously it's going to be more expensive, but if you want a fantastic, like, professional grade quality sound on the stage, it's hard to go wrong.
It is. And the Fishman stuff, the amps they make are good. The stuff that Roland, is it Roland or Boss that makes the amps? I forget. It's the same company.
It's Boss. I mean, yeah.
Okay. A lot of those companies make amps that are fantastic, really good for the money. But if I'm going to be spending that much money, I'd rather probably just save up a little bit more and get the AER personally.
I think so. I mean, I've already told you, like, for small stuff, like coffee shop type stuff, I will plug my guitar into that Fishman preamp stage, and then I will go into a small Bose S1 speaker. And actually, that's where my mic goes out to. Yeah. So it's like an all-in-one system. But if you're able to separate your guitar signal and your mic kind of signal and where that's going, the AER and, like, your main would be really nice. So
that's awesome. We'd love to hear what you guys use, or what you guys kind of think of some of that.
Yeah.
We need to get into more acoustic stuff.
Yep.
I've actually got a little bit of an acoustic journey I want to go on with my J45. I got a few things I want to tweak on it, and that would be a fun little process of going through some of that.
Yeah.
So we should do that. Let's go ahead and move to my gas or pass.
Okay.
All right, so my gas or pass today, we are going to be talking about the Boss CE2 Waza.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one we all know and love. Well, it's the Waza version of the one we know and love.
Yeah.
So it's got the CE1 and the CE2 built in the same pedal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need to really describe this anymore to you. You know what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts?
As far as chorus pedals go, there's probably no pedal that's more classic than this one. As far as like what sounds I would be looking for, I'll be honest. Like, to me, Blue Hippo way huge. That's the type of chorus I'm looking for.
Which, isn't that based on a CE1?
Yeah, but it's got some, like, to me, it feels like it has more warble to it.
Yeah.
Like, it almost feels more like a univibe. And that's what I like about it. So for me, the CE2 Waza, I mean, while it's a step in the right direction, like, it's, to me, the Blue Hippo is the way to go. So, like, I don't even think about it. But I could see why you might like it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I really am a big fan of it. I like the CE1 stuff too that's built in there, along with the CE2 stuff. I think that right now my chorus modulation pedal that I'm using the most right now is a version of the CE1. And that's what I've been kind of going with lately, which is in the JC120s. Mm-hmm. That's where they pulled it from originally. Talked about that here a while back. But for me, it's like $219 brand new. Mm-hmm. So used, you're talking probably $180, somewhere in that ballpark, pretty comfortably. For me, at that price, it's a gas.
But I want to throw a curveball. Analog Man makes a chorus that you've been really looking at too.
Yeah, that bi-chorus. Yeah, it's really good. I want them all.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon.
Let's be very clear. It's not that I want this Waza and I don't want the Analog Man one. I'm a huge fan of Analog Man stuff.
Right.
So I haven't played one of his pedals that I don't like yet.
Right.
There's some of them I connect with more than others, like all manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't go wrong with Boss. It's going to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a classic Boss pedal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got kind of two classic Boss pedals built in, one with a better buffer with the Waza pedal.
Right.
And the price is right. If you lose it, guess what? You can find another one tomorrow on Reverb or on Sweetwater or wherever.
Yeah, that's a big plus in Boss's category.
So for me, it's a gas. Is it not a gas for you?
I'm not a course guy, so no. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I kind of like it for those faux rotary sounds too.
I get it.
And that Blue Hippo, you're kind of interested in, right?
I know. But I'm honestly, all the pedals that I have a Terraform. It does everything chorus-wise I need, so.
Mm.
And I also like Dimension C chorus. So, like, there's just different types that I would want, and that by itself is not going to do it for me, so.
Okay. Well, I couldn't sell them, folks. But it's a gas for me, and I guess it's a pass for you.
Pass for me.
Okay.
We're going to get started with our next gas or pass. This is the second one. All right. Last year, Vox said, hey, we're releasing a hand-wired amp.
Yeah.
It's brand new.
It's new.
Reconfigured. Guess what? Didn't come out.
Nope. It's been a year, and it still has been nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen. However, they are releasing, supposedly, I think they're shipping out here soon, from what I've seen. All right. Vox AC10 Handwired.
Yep.
It's around $1,300. $1,300 for an AC10.
Yep.
I remember like 3-4 years ago, an AC15 Handwired was that price.
Yep.
Anyways, it has bass treble. It's got reverb in it. It's got a master on it. And it's hand wired.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Okay.
Because I know you're a big AC10 guy.
Okay, so I played a vintage. I've talked about this on here once before too. Sorry about the repeated stories. However, it's an important story to me personally.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it again. I played a vintage AC10. It was one of the ones with a single 12-inch speaker. I don't know if it... So they made twin 10s, which is confusing. AC10 twins. So they had two smaller speakers in there. Some people converted that to a single 12-inch speaker.
Okay.
I'm not for sure which version, but this was a JMI AC10, and it was fantastic. Vintage, I think it was like a 61, 62.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can give me a little more information on that.
Yeah.
But I played one at Killer Vintage in St. Louis, and it is the first Vox amp that really knocked me out of my seat. I mean, I've played Vox amps I liked before that one, and I was like, oh, this is good, I understand. Like, I've played your AC15 that you've got, and I really liked it, especially with the 212 cab.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds great. However, I didn't connect with it the same way. You know how it is, guys. Like, you can play something, and just because you like it doesn't mean you necessarily connect to it. So I played this AC10, knocked me out of my seat, really connected with it. But it was like, I don't remember how much it was at the time. It was over $4,000, I remember. And I remember thinking, like, boy, these things are just known for having, like...
You could have breathed on it and it could have broke.
Yeah, it was like, it's like a maintenance nightmare from what I understand, some of these old Voxes. And I don't have, like, the skills to work on and repair it. And yes, I know people that can, but do I want to be taking the amp that I'm gigging all the time to somebody to be repairing stuff?
You're already spending that much money on an amp, and then you'll have to be putting in that amount just to get it updated and fixed.
For what I do, does not make sense.
Yeah.
So I reluctantly left it there.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it ever since.
Yeah.
So then I take a look at Vox's stuff. Last year they released, and I was like, oh, they got a new AC30, they got a new AC15, they're doing the AC4 again, and they've got an AC10 with a 12-inch speaker. This is mine.
Yeah.
I was ready to order that thing, and it never came out.
We waited a year.
I waited a year. After like 6 months, I realized it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, so whenever I saw this, now I think the AC4s are shipping. From what I understand, the AC4s are shipping.
By the time this video comes out, this AC10 might be shipping too.
Okay, well that would be cool. As the time of this video though, the AC4s I believe are shipping. AC10s are still on pre-order.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
And $12.99 is the right price for me.
I think so.
I have...
It's got a greenback in it, by the way.
Yeah, I would probably change that.
Yeah, maybe to a blue.
Yeah. So it makes me nervous. And I'm reluctant to say gas because they've hurt my feelings before. Man, they really let me down because I was real excited. However, this thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
And if it comes out like it is, and it's at $12.99, and they start shipping these things, I'm ordering one. Without question, I'm going to order one. I'm going to give it a shot. I would love to play one in person if I can before I order it. That would be cool. But it's going to be a matter of, how often they get into shops, how quickly they go off the shelves.
Right.
So if I can't play one, it is what it is. But at $12.99, yes, that's not cheap. I understand that. However, it's not like a $4,000 commitment.
Right.
And I'll probably be able to get, $1,000 back out of it. I got to try it out for, $300.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's a complete gas, and I can't wait to get one in my hands if it happens.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not totally convinced it's going to happen yet.
Well, I've already got an AC-15 now. Granted, it's a head and a cab, a 212 cab. So for me, it's I really put this on here for you because I know that AC-10 that you played a while back has haunted you.
Yeah, and then this new release last year broke my heart.
Yeah. So Vox, if you're listening, thank you for making this hopefully possible.
Yeah. Please send me one. I'm not saying I won't pay for it. I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
But, just get one in my hands. I want this so bad.
It's like a carrot in front of you that you can't have,
Yeah, for a year. It's just been horrendous. So, yeah, I guess that's it.
All right.
A gas for me, pass for you.
Pass for me.
Okay, let's go ahead and move to my main topic.
Okay.
So my main topic today is sometimes I get a little heady. We talked about this a while back, and you're not a fan of it.
You get in your head, that's for sure.
That's right. So I've been kind of thinking about this, and it's been rolling around in my brain a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
We talk all the time about gear and the right tools for the job, and you got to have what you need for that particular gig and what's happening. And even professional musicians are like, oh yeah, it's just a tool. I don't really care. My main topic today is, are we wrong to call these things tools? Are we wrong to call these instruments and amplifiers and pedals and all these things tools? Because yes, they are tools for a job, but boy, if you're not connected to it, and it's not something more than just a nail or a hammer, it really, there's such a disconnect, and I'm not as intrigued with it. Are we wrong to call these things tools? Because it's much more, my guitar, whenever I play it, feels much more than just like a tool to me.
Well, when I talk to you, you feel more like a tool to me.
Ouch.
Oh, gosh. Gotta love it. All right. This is another, you're right. This is kind of like in your head thought.
It is.
I would say, no, there's some items that are tools.
Yeah. So an extension cord is a tool. But I'm talking like
a
guitars,
DI box, that's a tool.
The sound that certain ones make. Is that a tool?
I would say if you're, so like the Fishman preamp thing that we were talking about earlier, or the Fishman DI, that is it does affect your sound. So to me, that could be considered not a tool. But I'm talking about just a regular plug and go DI.
Okay.
That is a tool.
Yep, I would give that to you.
A mic stand, that's a tool.
Yep.
If you are not, like you kind of said, if you're not connected to it, but you need it for a certain thing, it's a tool.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
If you are not connected to it, but you need it for a sound or for the gig, or like studio musicians, they have to have thousands of tools. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they're not connected to.
I wonder if sometimes those guys, that's no, My Cousin Vinny?
Sure.
Okay. So
I know the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that part. So.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a courtroom scene.
Okay.
But anyway, I wonder if some of them look at their stuff more like tools, because it's an everyday job for them too. So that kind of changes the process a little bit. Whenever I'm going and gigging, I'm not a full-time musician. It's not my everyday job.
Right.
So maybe I don't look at it like a tool as much as they would. You know, that maybe they're not as connected to their gear and they can just kind of offload stuff and change things. And that's why, Tom Bukovac's gone through a million guitars, buying, selling, trading. And I'm sure guys like, Derek Wells and all those guys have also. But boy, whenever I get a hold of a piece of gear that really speaks to me and is working for a gig, it doesn't feel like a tool necessarily. Those are the pieces of gear that I like kind of reluctantly buy. And then I kind of, after a while playing it, I'm like, I really should get rid of this thing. I should move this along.
I think you're talking about two completely different things. Because you're talking about all this gear that we have, are we wrong with calling them tools? I think some of them have to be tools. And then some of them, like, even we had talked about, oh goodness, your IR2.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tool, but then you plugged it in, you're like, this is inspiring.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there can be tools that are inspiring, but there's also, pieces of gear that, like, family heirlooms. Yeah. They'll eventually be, like, a sentimental piece. Something that you won't part with. I don't know. Guitar, everything's a hobby, unless, I guess, it's your livelihood. What I'm trying to say is that there are some pieces that are always going to be a part of you. I wouldn't call those tools necessarily, but to another person, it's going to be a tool. So I don't think anybody's wrong in calling everything a tool. I don't think anybody's wrong with connecting with every single piece, but it's going to be different from person to person.
Yeah, I think I've just recently I've gotten so much in the mindset of like thinking about things as tools and the right thing for the right job. And when I was doing that, it almost took some of the excitement out of it in doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think just for my mental state, I think it was the wrong way to look at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got me on this thing. So I was like, why am I mean, it's not a tool. Like, I love this thing. I love this guitar I'm playing. Mm-hmm. This amp and stuff, whenever it's working well, I love what I've got going.
That kind of reminds me of your Duesenberg, right? Yeah. Because you've got a Telly, you've got a Les Paul. We've always said that this is more of your do-it-all tool guitar.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But it's not.
No, it's definitely not.
It's a great guitar.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those things. What do you connect with? What's important to you? I mean, like, if you think you'll eventually get rid of that one day, or you fall out of love with it, I don't think there's any problem with getting rid of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a topic that, like, you could talk about for hours, but also, does it really matter?
Well,
I don't mean it bad.
No, I know what
I'm
you
just
mean.
saying.
No, I don't know that it necessarily matters in the grand scheme of things, but maybe it matters to me whenever I'm looking at things and how I'm looking.
If you're excited about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to be inspired too. And if you look at everything as a tool, then you're like, another day at the office.
There's guys out there that do, but I don't ever open up my toolbox out in my garage and pull out a screwdriver and like, yeah, this thing feels good in the hand. Like,
now a drill maybe.
No, I don't. Like, yeah, there's ones that feel crappy and ones that feel good, and you can obviously tell the difference. And I'm sure somebody that does that for a living can really notice the difference a lot.
Right.
But, man, you pick up a guitar, and I can immediately... But I guess that's what we're into, right? It's what you're into.
That's what I'm trying to say, man.
Yeah. I'm just kind of tired of calling them tools at this point. There's certain things like cables and stands and DI boxes that don't have any any sound or jiggery or pokery about them that I'm okay with calling them tools. But I think it's a point for me now in my head, at least for me and myself and how I look at gear, because it takes the enjoyment out of it if I don't watch it too much, that I think I need to stop calling some of this stuff tools, because it's more than that to me.
All right, well, I'll keep saying what I'm saying, and you just worry about you.
I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Am I silly for getting in my head too much about these things and calling them tools?
I think, honestly, that pedal show, Mick and you are a lot alike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's really into, like, the psyche of it, which I get. Like, and the more you get into the weeds, the more you can't help but to do that. And I think when I start to do that, I'm like, I got to take a step back.
Yeah, I've got to process through it. I've got to make my way through it and come to the other side.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm at the point where I need to not be calling this thing a tool.
Yeah.
Even though maybe 6 months ago I was calling this thing a tool.
Yeah. Maybe 6 months ago I was calling you a tool.
You just did. All right, guys. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you guys think. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.